So there was this book that I read a bit ago, the Drucker Lectures, and what he talked about was the transformation between kind of these different eras. You know, you had this agricultural era, you had manufacturing, you had information technology, and you have these knowledge workers now. And so I want to touch on the knowledge worker. And the knowledge worker is someone who works with their mind. You know, it's that guy who can just work on his laptop, that engineer, that programmer, whoever, that creative artist, that designer. All sorts of people nowadays who can work from anywhere with an internet connection. Okay, it's a particular type of knowledge worker, but the idea is that most of their work comes out of their mind, right? And their creativity in that way, and their work in that way. So I'm going to touch on the 40-hour work week. Now that was established, you know, so some time ago. There's a story behind that and all that crap. Some other countries don't adhere to a 40-hour work week. Then maybe they do less because they're lazy, or they do more because they have no life. Whatever camp you're in. But 40 is not necessarily the right number either. So I'm all kidding aside, 40-hour work week does not apply anymore. And for knowledge workers especially, I should say. For people who do manual labor, maybe so. But for people who are knowledge workers, not so much. And the reason for that is because in the knowledge work that you do, you're always thinking. Okay, if you really have a passion for what you do in your thinking work, your knowledge work, you'll be thinking about it all the time in some way, or you'll notice things that are relate to it if you're really ingrained in and really push into it. And because knowledge work nowadays, based on the last video, is going to more of a creation sort of thing. Exposure to all these different ideas in different realms isn't necessarily not working. So if I'm a programmer and I'm trying to come up with this algorithm, trying to crack it, I might not crack it, you know, or figure it out right away on the job. But I'm going to be thinking about it, and you know, lightly throughout the day, I'll be able to function in other tasks. I'll go to, you know, before I go to bed, maybe I read a book, or maybe I do something, or maybe I look on the internet, or maybe about just things that are different. But you still have that in the back of your mind, and maybe you sleep on it, maybe you even have a dream about it or something. Something goes on when you sleep where it solidifies information. So if you're a knowledge worker, even when you sleep, you're working. That sounds crazy, and maybe you should ask for a raise or something, but that's what happens. And if you have a wide enough variety of knowledge work to do, you can actually turn on parts of it. Maybe you're programming one time, maybe you're designing another time, maybe you're thinking about the structural organization, maybe you're thinking crunching some numbers, maybe you're doing some boring analytical work another time. If you're able to like switch those nodes at different times, you can actually conceivably work for much longer without getting tired and still being productive. Normally people think that you can't work, you know, more than so many hours on a particular task, and I tend to agree with that. But if you switch up which part of your brain you're using, I believe, and I've demonstrated for myself, that you can continue to do things and continue to be incredibly productive for a long time, a lot longer than you probably should work if you have a life. But you can add a lot of variety in there. You know, maybe even you throw in meetings and things like that, and that's a different type of engagement than, say, programming. But if you can span those two worlds, you can be efficient in both of them and not feel like it's work. Not even feel like it's work. It's just going and doing things in different eras, different arenas. And it's not normal for people to have such wide variety of tasks to do, but it's possible to address them now with a large enough skill set, and you can develop that skill set by continually educating yourself and continually learning. And you know, that's part of what life's about, is continuing to grow and to learn. And now you have the infrastructure and the ability to do that. Like I said, with information out there, you can learn something new all the time. And a lot of people will think, you know, it's not good for my job, so I'm just not going to learn it. You're getting into an era where there's such competition and there's such creativity and the innovation that's needed that that's a bad assumption to make if you want to really, you know, go out there and kill it. You know, you want to go out there and do something cool and lead. You need to have this wide skill set, because people are figuring out what I'm telling you is that you can learn a ton, you can continuously learn, all that information's there, and so you need to be versatile and fast and creative and innovative, and to do that you need to continuously learn, and to continuously learn you need to branch out into different arenas and be, you know, and kind of I won't say continuously think about your work. I don't even like using the word work. I mean, if you're doing something that you love doing, branch out in different areas and apply it and learn in different arenas. But the whole point of this video is to say that a 40-hour work week is not a relevant metric for a knowledge worker, for someone who uses their mind to generate information, generate work, generate ideas, and create, because your mind is always going. And if you're doing work with your body, then yes, that's physical work, physical mechanics, F times MA, type of thing. You're actually doing physical work, and maybe you're limited to 40 hours. But knowledge workers are not. And that should be something that should be considered for when you work somewhere, or when you work for yourself, or when you try and evaluate what someone else is capable of doing. They're capable of a lot more if they're very efficient with their knowledge work. So keep that in mind. And that's another change in what's going on. The 40-hour work week just doesn't apply anymore. It could be a 100-hour work week. And it could be a perfectly normally functioning life. Mostly, maybe 80, maybe cut it down to 80. But that's the difference, and that's what's happening. So I'll see you next week, and I don't know what topic I'm going to hit on. It'll be a surprise.